You're listening to the Options Insider Radio Network. For more quality options programs, visit www.theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app, available in iTunes and on Google Play.
The futures markets can be downright scary. Limit up, limit down. What the heck is RBOB anyway? Are they going to dump a truckload of soybeans on your front lawn if you click the wrong button? Come to think of it, maybe you should just stick to your comfort zone. Or you can break out of it with the Futures Rundown. The Futures Rundown is here to help you make sense of these scary markets. We'll analyze all the top futures trading activity, explore the ins and outs of your favorite products, explain exactly how futures work, and hear from leading experts in the futures markets. We'll even tackle all of your wildest futures trading questions. If it involves futures, then you'll hear about it on the Futures Rundown. And now, it's time to break into the futures markets. It's time for the Futures Rundown.
All right, everybody, that music means we are back. It is Wednesday. Time once again to talk futures on the network. It is time once again for the Futures Rundown. My name, of course, Mark Longo from the optionsinsider.com, as well as from the network upon which all of you folks are binging these days. Remember, if you're not listening to the full network, wherever you get your favorite podcast, you're missing out on nearly a dozen, actually over a dozen shows now with all the new additions out there. So make sure you're subscribed to the full network. And of course, if you want to join us for pro Q&As, options oddities, giveaways, Vol Deathmatch 2.0 coming soon, check it out over there, theoptionsinsider.com/pro. We even sneak in a fantasy cast every now and then, talking about our fantasy football league. All sorts of fun. Theoptionsinsider.com/pro is the place to go to learn more as we learn who's joining us on the old Futures Rundown this week. I'm pleased to welcome back on our old pal, even though we haven't chatted with him in a while, Mr. Jermal Chandler, the head of options strategy over there at TastyTrade. Jermal, welcome to the Futures Rundown program.
Mr. Longo, thanks for having me on once again. It's good to see you, sir.
Long
you're always
time
out there.
no talk, sir. How are things in Tastyland?
Things are good. Things are good. Things have changed a little bit show-wise, which we'll talk about in a little bit, I'm sure. But just want to give you your props, man. You're always doing the show. I see it all over the place on social. I see it on Twitter. I see the tweets, the different trades you have out there. People doing, VIX trades and asking them whether they'd buy or sell at those levels. I see all of it, man. You're doing great stuff, man. I appreciate you having me back on the show again.
I appreciate you're the one who watches and votes in all our polls. It's you, Jermal, at the end of the day. Well, we have a lot of fun here on the network, and let's have a little bit more fun, listeners, as we enter into the trading pit.
It's time to break down all the action that's lighting up the futures markets this week. What's limit up and what's crashing and burning? Let's find out. It's time to enter the trading pit.
All right, everybody, welcome to the trading pit for this final full trading week for the mad, insane year that has been 2025. We have a lot to get to the upside and to the downside. But before we go there, Jermal, as our guest, you get pride of place, sir. What is lighting up your tape and catching your eye in the world of futures this week, sir?
Well, I mean, it's there's so many, actually. This is like one of those weeks where there's a lot to choose from, but my goodness, I mean, there's what's going on in ES right now. We're down over percent. You got to go with silver. I mean, silver has to be the one that's really lighting up the board here. Huge move. One of the best performers on the year, the commodity of silver. So I'd have to go with that one.
I'm not sure what you're referring to. Is something happening in silver? Has something been going on all year in silver, Jermal? I must have missed that one. I was kind of busy the last week or two. I must have missed this enormous, ridiculous, endless upside move in all things silver. Since we're talking upside, let's kick things off to the light side, to the green this week, listeners. Kicking it off, number 5 this week, we've got everyone's favorite, not my favorite. I am lactose intolerant, so I will enjoy it from afar. This is cash settled cheese, listeners. Popping a nice 3 3/4% this week for the number 5 spot to the upside. Number 4, it's one of the EMs. Can you guess which one? Nope. Maybe not the one you're thinking of. It's Lithium, up 9.25% this week. So a hot week for Lithium out there. The number 3, what Jermal was just talking about, it seems like it is inescapable these days. Week after week, silver continues to rally. Just ask our poor buddy Uncle Mike. He's been one of the longest running silver bulls I know, and he finally got out about a few weeks to a month ago, and it's been even more upside since then. So even if you've been a long-running silver bull, picking when to get out and get off this ride has been quite challenging, to say the least. The answer was not this week. Silver popping, taking the number 3 spot, up about 9.5% this week. So, I mean, just when you thought there could be no more upside in silver, listeners, here we are. New all-time highs. I think we hit 65 somewhere around there today. Just wild stuff. Number 2, listeners, another EM. This time it's palladium. Popping 15.33% this week. That's not enough precious metals that start with P. Let's go out to platinum, listeners. Number 1 with the bullet this week, up 17.33%. Now, Jermal, I know you want to spend the whole episode talking about cash-settled cheese. Let me just walk you back from that one a little bit. Let's focus first on some of the other stuff. Then we'll come back to the cheese. What is catching your eye in our top 5 this week, sir?
Well, silver is definitely the one, but look, I can't overlook it. I didn't even know you were looking at cheese and lithium here. I mean, that sounds like a party. You got a little lithium, a little cheese. You can do a whole lot of things, Mark. So I didn't know what was going on with those two. But look, these metals, they've been insane. I mean, I think it sounded like 2 of the top 5 there or 3 of the top 5 were metals there. They've really been making some serious moves here. I mean, I don't know how many people had that on their bingo card. You mentioned, long-term bulls getting out at these levels. I mean, that just tells you how wild it is right now. So just it's insane.
It seemed like not that long ago on our sister program to this one, Jermal, This Week in Futures Options, where we talk the option side of the futures market. And we were talking about upside verticals that, started around the 40 handle in silver by the end of the year. And we thought, 40 handle by the end of the year, I guess that's possible. But, and here we are, blowing through 40, blowing through 50, blowing through 60, coming up to a 65 out there again. The Hunt brothers wish they got to these levels, Jermal. These are just absolutely wild. If you're sitting on grandma's silver up in the attic or in the safety deposit box, now may be a good time to let at least some of it fly out there, because these are levels we have not really seen before and may not see again for a while. Or if you believe the results of our poll, maybe it will continue for a bit. We'll get to all that fun in a second. But first, Jermal, we have to end the laughter and the smiles. We're going to the downside. We're going to the dark side here. What is lighting up our tape in the red direction this week, listener? We're kicking it off in heating oil. Coming in a little over 5, about 5.5%. It's been a wild time on that front out there, that and nat gas. Of course, it's a frigid winter. It's a little bit warmer winter. We're back and forth. We're all over the place on that front. As a result, heating oil coming in at number 5 this week, off 5.5%. Number 4, a rare week of respite for you coffee addicts out there, all you Starbucksaholics. You've been getting taken to the woodshed for the last 1.5 2 years. It's getting expensive out there. You're getting a bit of a reprieve this week, off nearly 7%, about 6.8%. For number 4 in coffee. Number 3, we have our combo of the big and the micro Bitcoin futures. If you've been following crypto, hasn't exactly been the best period out there. Micro and the big futures off about 6.85% this week. For the number 3 spot, number 2, listeners. Getting back to what I was saying with heating oil, it's been a wild winter so far, and that is certainly wreaking havoc on nat gas as well. Nat gas off nearly 10%, about 9.9% this week. I was just saying with Dan, our buddy Dan on the show a few weeks ago, it seemed like a 5 handle in nat gas. It just felt kind of rich. And lo and behold, we have blown through that 5 handle in the other direction now, listeners. And our number 1 downside mover for the week, listeners, this is not going to come as welcome news to all the hodlers out there. But it's ETH, the micro and the big futures off about 15.33% this week. Maybe we'll start there. I know it was kind of jumping to the top of the list, Jermal, but I am hard-pressed to think of another asset that has had as much of a roller coaster ride this year as ETH. I mean, silver's had a great year, but it's been just straight up. It hasn't been a roller coaster. It's been a rocket ship to the moon. ETH has been all over the place. It got annihilated. It was number one on our year-to-date losing list around the end of Q1, beginning of Q2. Then it began this meteoric rise through Q2 into Q3, just exploding, went all the way to the top of our year-to-date gainers list, and now it's fallen back to the dark side again. So, I don't know. This has been a wild ride. What are your thoughts on the mad year that has been ETH, Jermal?
It's a good question because honestly, we talk about it a lot here at Tasty, what's going on with cryptos, whether it's Bitcoin, whether it's ETH. Obviously, ETH is kind of the little brother to Bitcoin, sort of like silver is the little brother to gold, right? And so with these cryptos, the one positive thing I will say, Mark, is that when you look at crypto over the last several years, a drawdown in these can be anywhere upwards of 50 to 60 to 70%. And those are like the areas where we're talking about crypto winter, et cetera. This has been a big drawdown, but it hasn't been in the same fashion. And even more importantly, there hasn't been a situation where this drawdown has included tales of, a blowout at an exchange or crypto wallets getting stolen or just, straight up fraud happening. This hasn't happened this time around. And I would say that speaks to the maturity of the products of Bitcoin and both Ether. So I would say if you're looking for some green shoots in those two products there, that's likely it. It's a drawdown. There's a drawdown just like anything else. We all have drawdowns in a lot of different things, and I don't think these are any more susceptible. But the maturity of these products has led to, I would say, lighter drawdowns than what we've seen in the past, and with more heinous reasons.
That is a good point. We have seen a market evolution in the ecosystem around these products just this year. A year ago, you pretty much just ride and spot up and ride and spot down. Now we have futures, we have options, we have ETFs that offer staking rewards. The ecosystem itself has exploded just in the past year. So that does give people more options, pun intended, for ways to play this. And maybe this makes this a little bit more attractive or perhaps a little bit less painful. But I didn't mean to steal the spotlight on ETH. It just leapt off the page to me, Jermal. But I'm sure some other things are catching your eye on this list, including the Widowmaker itself, nat gas, sir.
You got it. Exactly right. That's the other one that I was going to, it's an honorable mention to the downside, Mark. It really is. Nat gas, the whole energy complex, really. I mean, until today, oil was looking pretty sick as well, right? And it's been kind of ugly in energy. You mentioned heating oil. Let's just go ahead and round it out because those three right there kind of speak to what's going on in the energy space. We did have obviously some strong, or I should say some very, very cold winter weather here in not only in the Midwest, but in the Northeast as well. And of course, that's what led to those prices. You mentioned the highs of nat gas. You figured you'd see some correction, but man, it was a steep correction. I mean, about 4 or 5 days in a row, pretty strong move to the downside. Getting a little bit of bounce more recently. We'll see if that ends up sustaining itself, but it's providing a lot of opportunities here, particularly not only just in nat gas, but in oil. I think, you're getting some two-sided action, which is always nice for us traders, right? We want to see two-sided action. So, I'm the bearer of good news, Mark. I am. I'm trying to see the positive in these big moves, these big swings we're seeing.
Well, it's certainly good news for the coffee fans out there, at least this week. I mean, coffee folks have been getting beat up. This week, they're giving some back to the market gods. I don't think they're too mad about that. They can give a lot back. I think the coffee folks out there, it's been quite the run. And I am kicking myself a little bit, Jermal, because I mentioned again a few weeks ago on our This Week in Futures option show that I was feeling like nat gas was a little top heavy, but I let our guest on that show, Mr. Dan Gramza, talk me out of picking up some downside around the 5 strike. That's what I get for listening to that guy. What a jerk that guy is. But
well, one thing I want to add too, man, on a personal note, I just started watching the show Landman. We're talking about the energy space here. Look, I highly recommend it, my friend. I think you'd love it. I think us trader minds really would like that show. The great Tony Batista told me about it last year, and I just started watching it. Highly recommend the show as we're talking about energy here.
Look at this, coming with some content plugs on the side.
Hey,
I like it. You're armed with all
sorts of stuff for you.
All sorts of gifts in this holiday season coming from you. Or Jermal out here. Let's keep rolling out. Let's see if the market has some gifts for us in terms of volume. Is it an active day? Is it a banger day? Well, as of right around the start of the show, things were looking all right. We have this threshold we've established on the show, listeners, of about 300,000 contracts to break into the top 10. That's usually our standard for whether it's a rock'em sock'em day. We're not quite there, but it's kind of a tale of two tapes, actually. The bottom half of our top 10 not lighting the world on fire. Then we get up to the top half, and things are looking pretty dense. So it's one of those weird markets. It's also, as Jermal said earlier, it's interesting when some products outside of rates and equities break into the top 10. We all know we're going to get the 10-year. We all know we're going to get the E-mini on this list. It's a question of what else we're going to get on the list. And today, coming in at number 10, 279,000. It's our old pal Crude Oil, WTI, putting up some action. Go figure. All it takes is, an embargo war against Venezuela to cause some action out there on the crude oil front. So, it's an interesting day when crude sneaks into the top 10, and today it does 279,000 contracts. By the way, that is the Feb WTI contract. The only February on our list. Everything else is all March, which is kind of interesting. The rest are mostly the usual suspects. Number 9, 30-year, 279,000 contracts on the tape today. Number 8, the Ultra 10-year, 309,000 contracts. Then we jump up to number 7, listeners, the 2-year, 532,000 contracts. Number 6, the Nasdaq E-mini, 590,000 contracts on the tape. As Jermal noted, taking a bit of a downturn out there on the equity front today. Number 5, the 5-year note, 670,000 contracts on the tape. And then we jump up again. Number 4, it's the 10-year, listeners, 909,000 contracts. Number 3, the S&P Micro, about 1.23 million contracts. Now, normally we'd see the list kind of top out around that level, around this time of the show, topping out around 1.2 million, but we keep climbing, listeners, today. So again, kind of an interesting list out there today. Number 2, it's our old pal, the E-mini, almost 1.5 million contracts for the number 2 spot. That means number 1, we already did the 10-year. I can't remember the last time the 10-year note was all the way down at number 4. That's kind of wild. That means it's the NASDAQ 100 Micro, taking the top spot out there today, 1.61 million. Again, it's a micro, so take some of that volume with a grain of salt. But again, it shows you kind of what you were mentioning earlier, Jermal. At least for right now, obviously, equities very much in the crosshairs today. What's catching your eye out there in the realm of all things ES and NASDAQ, sir?
It's NASDAQ. It has to be. I mean, it's been the one on the list more recently. With all the talk over the last couple of weeks, you're seeing markets heavy as a result of, some of the concern around AI, right? I mean, that's really been the thing over the last couple of weeks. Concern about the spending in AI, the circular spending between, let's just put it like this. OpenAI isn't even a public company yet, and it actually controls the fortunes of a lot of major S&P 500 names that are tech heavy.
That is a little disturbing, yes.
I mean, what can you say about it? I don't know if we know how to feel about it quite yet. Only time will tell. But the NASDAQ is definitely the one. And I think, a lot of the same money are trading NASDAQ that are trading Bitcoin. We talked about that earlier. So you can tell it's a lot of high beta related names. And so I think it's something to keep an eye on to see if we're going to be able to have that all wanted Santa Claus rally by the end of the year. But time's getting short, Mark. I don't know.
Yeah, we're running out of time for Santa to get his sleigh out of the garage. I don't know. I don't know if we're going to see Santa slinging in this year. And you mentioned it earlier. Again, it is kind of rare to see WTI take a spot on our top 10 most actives. Things are popping off in the energy sector when that is the case. And that is indeed the case today, obviously heating up with some of our, whatever you want to call it, this brouhaha with Venezuela out here where we're now embargoing and seizing tankers out there. That's going to have an impact on crude out there. I know you watch WTI. What are your thoughts on what we're seeing out here in crude today, Jermal?
It's interesting because over the last couple of months here, crude was basically sort of in a range between 60 and maybe 56, right? You could buy it at 56, take it back up to maybe 58. It'd probably fade again to 57. You could buy it again and it'd go to 59. I mean, it was really in that range until, late last week. And we had basically, from late last week to yesterday, if you will, we had basically 7 days down in a row in crude, and it was really weak. And again, there was really, it didn't matter if there was any potential geopolitical risk on the horizon, which was always the thing that makes crude move. It really wasn't moving. But like you said, this recent brouhaha over the last, 12 hours or so seems to put a little pep in the step of crude here, and we might end up getting a little bit higher prices here. I don't know if it just took it to break 56 to finally happen, but Keep an eye out on crude. This could end up leading to more.
Yeah, it's kind of wild to see this 50 handle. People were talking not that long ago. It seemed like people were talking about, can we break 65 to the downside? And the answer was yes, and then some. Go figure, Jermal. I just bought a hybrid. So, of course, I bought the most fuel-efficient car right when gas is the cheapest. I could have bought an old-school Hummer at these prices and gone crazy. 8 miles a gallon. Why not? But I went the hybrid route. So there. Bad timing yet again. I'm 0 for 2. Bad timing on that. Bad timing on my nat gas puts that I didn't buy, Jermal.
I'm feeling good in that regard, actually. I bought a Bronco a couple of months ago. Yeah, 15 miles a gallon. That kind of sucks. But hey, with these gas prices, I'm just going to hold on to my, I got an MCL contract right now. I'm going to hold on to it. That's basically my hedge here, Mark.
There you go. Yeah, if you buy something like that, you got to have a little bit of a hedge in your back pocket. I remember in the early days of Tesla, people writing in saying, if I'm buying a Tesla, should I buy some puts as well, just in case this thing's not around in a few years when I want to go service it? Maybe you do the opposite of that now. If you're buying a Hummer, you go buy a little bit of a hedge there as well. But let's keep rolling out here. We've been talking about things moving and shaking quite a bit. It has been a wild year. Let's break down the year to date movers and shakers out here, listeners. I think you can guess what the upside is for the most part. I mean, this year, if you pretty much bought anything shiny and put it in your pocket, Jermal, and forgot about it, you had a hell of a year. Gold, number 5. I mean, just before we go any higher, Jermal, gold up 56% for the year. I mean, that alone is insanity. And we're just at number 5, Jermal. What are your thoughts on this just insane run in what is the psychological underpinnings of most global economies?
I'll tell you what, when I was working at a prop firm here in town, you know it, Peak 6, and I'll never forget on the desk, I was a junior trader at the time, but I remember one of the best traders on our desk, he comes in with some Indian head coins one day, and gold might have been trading, $500-600 at the time, comes in with these Indian coins. These are awesome, man. He got like maybe $2,000 worth of coins. Maybe about a week later, the guy who was the head guy on our desk, who's actually still at Peak, he comes in with a gold bar. And I just couldn't believe that this dude went out and bought a gold bar. You know what I mean? And as much as that cost back then, holy cow, there's no telling what that thing is now. I mean, there is telling. We can do the math. It's really crazy to see this move this year, Mark. I mean, you can't, I don't know. This is just a wild thing to see. I'm pretty much almost 100% this year. It's wild.
That's the most trader thing, too. They didn't just buy it. They bought it and brought it to work to show it off. So, he bought half of it was just to buy it to show it off. But hopefully he still has it, in which case he's doing all right out there. But yeah, that's the most trader thing. Look at my gold bar.
Yeah, it was amazing actually. We all touched it. I'm sure we got a lot of fingerprints on it. It was pretty awesome. Knowing that guy, he was always kind of a doomsday type of a guy. I think he still has it.
Probably still has it. Maybe some guns on the side as well. Who knows? Bullets, the ultimate apocalypse asset, as our listeners have told us many times. All right, out to number 4, listeners. It's the lone escape we have from the metals in the upside this year. What is it? It's your favorite. It's my least favorite. It's dry whey, going back out to the dairy again, up 65.5%. So if you had whey on your bingo card this year, then I guess more power to you, as the rest of our upside is all shiny stuff all the time. Palladium, number 3, listeners, up 82% this year. Number 2, it's platinum, up 106%. And this top one, again, we were just saying how insane gold has been. Gold's been up this 50% range for a good chunk of this year now. So we've kind of become accustomed to it. But this silver, especially this next leg up, has taken over the last month. Absolutely wild, 115%. Jermal, my indicator for this, that maybe the metals, the worm has turned out there in terms of interest, is usually when I go out to the, holiday parties and the events this time of year, people are always asking me, market stuff. And a lot of them will come up and they want to talk crypto because that's the hot thing. This year, a lot of people coming up talking silver and gold to me, which I've never experienced before. So that in and of itself, maybe a sign that we're a little top heavy, Jermal. What do you think?
It always is, right? I mean, that's always the thing. When you hear the average person talking about these assets that we pay attention to day in and day out, year in and year out, it makes you wonder, things might be changing really soon. As a matter of fact, that's what I felt like was kind of my clue to a short-term top. And I put on a short-term short in gold on early October, when I had that big turnaround. There was just way too many average people talking about it. There was I felt like, I don't think it was a 60 minutes, but something like that. I mean, that's the signs of the top there, Mark. So that does make me wonder when I hear stuff like that.
A lot of wild stuff. What are you talking about, your holiday parties? Is it silver and gold? Chances are it might be this year, listeners. As we go to the downside, and this number 5 on the downside is going to make a lot of people sad to see this name back on the biggest losers of the year list after, like I said earlier in the show, it's had this roller coaster year. It was down, then it was up. It was in the stratosphere. It was the highest of the high. It was the top of our year-to-date gainers list not that long ago, listeners. Now we're seeing it back on our year-to-date losers list. Number 5, it's ETH. I know the holders don't want to hear it, but you don't need me to tell you. It hasn't been a great month or so out there on the ETH front. Off about 21% now year-to-date. So wild stuff out here. Number 4, out to the land of cocoa. In fact, the rest of our bottom 5 seem to be the usual offenders for the latter portion of the year. Number 4, it's cocoa, off 30%. We've been saying for a while, if you want a cheaper hot beverage, less of a caffeine hit, but if you're suffering on the coffee side, maybe cocoa is your huckleberry, off 30% so far year to date. Number 3, it continues to be a rough year for rough rice, off a little over 31% year to date. Number 2, dairy on the other side, taking a shellacking. Cash settled butter, off nearly 39% for the year. And once again, the biggest loser for the year has been for some time. It's OJ, off 63%. So I guess, Jermal, everyone's worried about inflation. At least here, your rice is getting cheaper, your butter's a little cheaper, your hot cocoa doesn't cost as much, and that delicious OJ in the morning doesn't cost as much, even if maybe the ETH you're using to pay for it is losing value, Jermal.
I mean, it does sound like it's a little bit cheaper to take the family out for breakfast based on some of these futures that are down here. Cheese and butter and cocoa and OJ. I mean, it does sound like that. But yeah, ETH is an interesting one. It really is. Like I said earlier, I mean, just to have a down year is not surprising. I think the surprising but positive thing is that ETH and Bitcoin are down, and they have this ecosystem that kind of supports them to some degree. And it's just not the usual negative. There's no FTX news this year. Again, no situation where wallets were stolen, frozen wallets, or whatever they have in those Bitcoin products and ETH products. But I think that's something to keep in mind. Just be smart about it. And they got a lot of ETFs as well. But futures is obviously the direct exposure way to trade. It's much easier.
All right, listeners, I want to get to some of you folks on your feedback as well. But before we do that, Jermal, we've covered a lot of ground already. But if there's any products that you wanted to talk about this week that didn't make it on our list, have at it, sir. The floor is yours.
Well, I mean, look, you covered the best ones that are the most liquid, I would say, as far as futures that I pay attention to day in and day out. It is those cryptos. It is the energy complex and crude and nat gas, and obviously the metals. I mean, I don't really see much reason to be anywhere else. I will say, bonds have taken a dip here. ZB and ZN have both been down in the dumps post-Fed meeting there, or actually a little prior to the Fed meeting that we had this week, and then last week, I should say, and then faded a little bit more. So those have my interest as well. But who knows what is going to happen with interest rates over the next couple of months here, with Fed chair about to change and a lot going on there. So I am watching those as well. But yeah, I mean, just you hit on the major ones, Mark. I mean, those are the ones that I'm trading day in and day out. The energy and the metals.
You really came to the dance for lithium and cash settled cheese. That's why you really came on the show this week, Jermal. But we got a lot of stuff popping off. Let's get to some of you folks now. A little bit of the old futures free for all.
Ring the bell. It's time to take on all comers in an epic Q&A battle royale. All questions can enter, but none can leave without an answer. It's time for the Futures Free-for-All.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Futures Free for All, the portion of the show where you folks ask us questions, and we often like to turn the spotlight back on you with some fun questions of the week out there. Actually, I want to get your thoughts on a couple of these, Jermal. We asked them last week about what is inarguably the hottest segment of the markets right now. It's the prediction/binary world. Can't get enough of these things. Everyone's obsessed with them. Robinhood talking today about adding, their own wagering on that side to their platforms. A heated debate, to be sure. So we asked our folks last week, where does a trade end and a bet begin? Should binaries out there, should they cover all events the way Kalshi and others want them? Should it be sports and Oscars and everything? Or should we limit them to just financial products? We asked this of our audience last week, Jermal, and they ended up coming in nearly half, 45.5%, saying they want trading products only. 36.4% opted for this makes me nervous, which I can't say I blame them. There's certainly a lot going on that side of the space that's kind of wild. And then 18.2%, Jermal, want to let the dice fly. They want binaries on everything, sir. What are your thoughts on what our listeners had to say on that?
I think it's interesting, Mark. I really do. I will say the biggest thing about these prediction markets is the wording in some of the products sometimes, or some of the things that they're actually putting markets on. I mean, I think the wording can trip people up, and I think maybe that's a little confusing at times. Once they straighten all that out, once they get that regulatory stuff straightened out, I think it'll be kind of fun. But I mean, look, we as traders, and we've been in pits, or we've been in rooms with a bunch of other traders. We're always betting on something, right? And I think so. You're asking a guy who's really interested in this idea anyway. I like the idea, I think.
Predictions coming soon at Tasty. You heard it here. You heard it here first. Listen, Jermal breaking some news.
It's above my pay grade. I have nothing to do with it.
I'm just getting you in trouble here on the show. But let's get out to our actual questions of the week from this week, because I'm sure you have some thoughts on these as well, Jermal. These are live right now, listeners. At Options is the place to go if you want to make your voice heard. If you're listening down the road, of course, still check us out at Options. Chances are there's more cool polls up there and links to content and everything else. All sorts of fun. We've got a twofer this week, Jermal, that are both very much germane to the audience for this program. First off, we've been talking crypto a lot here on this show, and maybe the not exactly exciting last, they've been exciting, maybe not for the hodlers, though, a couple of weeks out there, which raises the question, something we were debating earlier this week on our crypto rundown program. Quite simply, is winter coming for crypto, listeners? Are we here? Are we on the onset of another crypto winter? As we put it, are the White Walkers on the horizon? Or is this sell-off overdone? A pretty simple one this week, Jermal. We asked our audience, do they think winter is coming, or do they want to buy the dip? So which way are you going, Jermal? And more importantly, which way do you think our audience is going?
I have bought the dip. I've done and we're using a couple of products, but again, when I hear crypto winter, I hear a correction upwards of 50 to 75%. I mean, that's kind of the thing that crypto winter always implied with crypto. And again, I would tend to say that winter is not coming. Mostly because of what I laid out earlier, the fact that there hasn't been any major reason as to why crypto is down right now. It's just down because there's been more of a high correlation to the stock market ever since they debuted those ETFs. You can see the correlation between crypto and Nasdaq particularly. So I'm buying the dip here, I would say.
Our audience is taking the other side, Jermal. 60% right now say winter. They're feeling bearish today. I think they're just not feeling it today. They're not feeling the green, the optimism that you're putting down, Jermal. Only 40% want to buy the dip. That will run, of course, through the end of the week. So if you disagree, you want to take Jermal's side, get over there and flip those numbers around. And then we've been talking about it a lot on the show today, Jermal. It is the inescapable asset of the year. It is silver. To say it's on a historic run is underselling it, but it is. It's been on a historic run this year. The question everyone has, Jermal, can it continue in 2026? Quite simply, if you had to buy an at-the-money put on SLV, at-the-money put or call, that expires at the end of 2026 in SLV, which way are you going, Jermal? You buying the put, you buying the call? You have to hold it now. Or are you just out on metals entirely? Which way are you going? And which way do you think our audience is going?
If you're talking about the whole end of the year, I mean, I'd take my chances on the put. That would be the trade that I would try out of the two. And again, I mean, it's a safe place to say all the way out, but I mean, if you're giving me a whole year on that thing, assuming it's not crazy expensive, well, that's part of it, right? But I did take a stab at buying a put. I mean, I don't know if it can sustain this for the rest of the year. I don't expect a mammoth-sized correction. I really don't. If that happens, well, that would be awesome for that put that I'm buying, but I would take a stab at a long put for the end of the year.
This shows you just how wild the silver market is right now, Jermal. Our audience is literally split 42.9% each. They want to buy the put, they want to buy the call. I guess that's what makes a market, Jermal. They are exactly split on that one. 14.3% only, they're the naysayers. They say they're out on metals entirely. They've had a good run. They're taking their money. They're getting the heck out of Dodge. Maybe they're buying some lithium this week, Jermal. I hear good things about lithium.
Don't take the money and run. Isn't that what he said?
That is what he said. As we have to run on out of this show. Jermal, that music means we're out of time for the futures rundown for this week. I appreciate you taking some time out of your busy schedule over there in Tasty Land to talk some lithium and some cash settled butter with us, all the hot stuff on the show this week. But before we go, sir, if folks are intrigued, they want to check out what you folks have cooking on the futures or the option side over there at Tasty, where should they go? What should they do?
Well, they can go to tastylive.com and check out all the content and free education that we have on the site. We also have a YouTube that we live stream from every single day, the Tasty Live YouTube page. And I have a show that comes on 11 a.m. Central now. So I've moved on up in time, Mark. I'm doing a show called Options Trading Concepts Live with Mike Butler here at Tasty Live. Again, that show is 11 a.m. every single day. I actually do one of those shows from the Seabowl floor on Thursdays. Not this week. We'll be back on January 8th, but doing that once a week from the Seabowl floor. Lots of volume, lots of action. So, anytime you want to do that, you can find me there. And then finally on Twitter at Jermal Chandler, JermalChandler. Make sure it's just that. Make sure there's a blue check because there's some fakers out there nowadays. And I guess it's flattering, but it's if you follow somebody named Jermal Chandler, they're asking you for money. That is not me, okay? I would never do that, but that's the places you can find me, Mark.
He would ask you for ETH, not for fiat. He's not old school. Check him out. All
some
those
cheese and some lithium.
Yeah, some lithium and maybe some cash settled butter to go along with it. If Jermal hits you up for cash settled butter, you know it's the actual guy over there on Twitter, listeners. Check them out, all those places. You know where to find Tasty. And, of course, you can check it out tastytrade.com/podcast as well. See what kind of deals they have for you folks. If you're thinking about maybe trying out a new broker to go with the new year, that's going to do it for us on the Futures Rundown. Not going to do it for us on our quintuple palooza of content coming at you. I mentioned hang out in the pro. We got more stuff coming at you, including our good buddy, the options guy. He couldn't stay away. He wants to come on in a little bit to give his side of the story on his fantasy football drubbing this week. So we'll be talking about that a little bit. Then, of course, we're back after the closing bell to talk all of the options activity, lighting up the tape today with the Hot Options Report, the newest addition to the network. If you're not checking that out, make sure you're subscribed to the full network. Then we're back again with our usual array of content throughout the rest of the week until we're back again next Wednesday, another episode of the Futures Rundown. Stay safe out there, everybody.
You're listening to the Options Insider Radio Network. For more quality options programs, visit www.theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app, available in iTunes and on Google Play.